When you look at it, look at Japan. Japan is a Hindu country.
Yeah.
Many will jump up and down, but also already premeditated and made them jump up and down. In his Osho therapy, the Japanese were told to jump higher than the father and mother. That was their exercise. So 500 Japanese will be jumping, ha, ooh, like this. So they will jump. When I say Japan is a Hindu country, you look at all the temples and everything, it is definitely Hindu. They are like, all the gods are Hindus. But from the Second World War, somehow they are not allowed to be Hindus. Why Japan has not so far? Now it's going to become very popular with spiritualism, because the interest shifted for, these banana peddlers from some part of the world, So the Japanese religion was seen as aggressive because they participated in the Second World War. They didn't really do anything wrong. They became very economically strong. And there was a group of people against this economical strength. Not Americans. A group of people, a rascally group. And this group said, Japanese philosophy is aggressive. So that's one example. And in Chinese philosophy, they became a Karl Marx follower. They became like communists, whatever, socialists, blah, 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 blah. So nobody went there for spiritualism. They were seen as potential threat. They were seen by the Western world as potential threat. The only useless community was the Indians, because we don't have any threat, because Gandhi was good luck for us. Because of these social limitations of the time, then India was only offering the alternative knowledge system to the Western world. If you see the movie Matrix, you will see how much the West has accepted the alternative system of thinking. So they then take the gurus as some institutional representation of knowledge, the West. But then the little community that didn't allow Japan to flourish, that community doesn't like it. They always say Gandhi is no good, that is no good, this is no good, you shouldn't listen to gurus. You know who these rascals are. Anyway, so these rascals, then they are saying, you don't need a guru, blah, blah, blah. So this way, the guru tradition is limited only to India, because if you go to Islam, there's a direct conflict with the Western world before. Now they're trying to soften it up. But before it was a direct conflict, because, Western woman wearing a bikini and walking, the mullah will get crazy, I mean, I'm not saying this. This is a Western interpretation. I don't think the mullah will get crazy. The mullahs are learned in their Quran. Edward Said is a good example of a mullah who's learned in the science and offering a beautiful dialogue in his book, Orientalism. He's offering a dialogue for the Western world to understand. But the Western world rejected Edward Said. So when you look at all these things, the gurus are the only one left who don't pose a threat, a political threat to the Western world, and offers an alternative hobby for the Western person. So therefore, gurus are like, from India, like that. They traditionally have been accepted as experts of certain ways of thinking. And like limited to a box. A guru cannot talk outside his box. Like me, I'm talking outside the box. So it's dangerous. It's very dangerous. This is worse than terrorism. So this is why gurus are always from India. But knowledge systems are all over the world. Islamic knowledge system, the Islamic teacher is a true teacher. The Christian teacher is a true teacher. If he or she understands the Testament or the Quran, they are true teachers. But then the popularity of seeking a guru goes back to always India, because the Western world, they were saying that, knowledge, scientific knowledge, that scientific knowledge is always very easily and cleverly realizable through the Sanskrit knowledge system. Like if you're talking about, say, quantum science, there are many, many parallels in Indian system or the Sanskrit system. Many parallels. So if you talk about psychology, there are many parallels in the Indian or the Sanskrit system. So therefore, they came to, take this information back so that they can use it. Therefore, there was a lot of emphasis on gurus of India. They will say, we don't need a guru. Your education is based on the guru's information. The Western world started coming to gurus because they got disenchanted with the wars. First World War, Second World War, Third World War, Fourth World War, Fifth World War. Your not you, but your education system is taking you to wars. Tired of this, the Western person with some intelligence said, let me look out of this stupid box called education in the West. So that's how they came to India. Then they realized, oh, these gurus are very nice people. They are like parents. They care for you. Like Neem Karoli Baba. You know that Neem Karoli Baba, this Ramdas, went to Neem Karoli Baba so that he get rid of his drug habits, drug abuse. Ramdas was, before Neem Karoli Baba, was abusing himself with drugs. He lost his job because of drugs. So then he went to Neem Karoli Baba, and Neem Karoli Baba was a very, very, very interestingly different human being. So he changed Ramdas. He freed him from the drug abuse. And therefore, Ramdas became very fond of Neem Karoli Baba. Their relationship was one of good friend. Father and son, good friend, like that. So most of the gurus, like Swami Srila Prabhupada of the Hare Krishna, is like a good friend. Even though he's a very old man, he was able to, bridge the gap of generation gap. He was able to relate with all these youngsters. And so that way, the children of the America could identify with him. And then they became Hare Krishna. And then, they actually built the whole thing because they loved this Swami Srila Prabhupada. Because I really know the seniors of this organization, and I saw, they really admired this man, appreciated him. And therefore, they built the whole setup, the temple, everything. The beauty of Hare Krishna is by his devotions, by his devotees. Yeah. So this way, when you're looking at everything, the gurus played a nice part. There are mischievous gurus like Osho. You cannot really call him a guru. That's why he calls himself an Osho, because he didn't have a guru. He stole the works of Gandhi and represented it as his own. That's all. Then you have the Krishnamurti. He was talking, translated Buddhism. He didn't know Sanskrit or anything. He just talked from the principle of Buddhism. So all these things are there, But the real Guru Parampara is not there. There is very few. And that is why these Orientalists, they keep on insisting that the Lakshman Jew was the last guru of Kashmiri Shaivism. You know what they're saying? Let's terminate this lineage.
Yes.
They're not saying anything more. Let's finish it. Let's finish it by saying he is the last guru.
In this video, the student is asking why are gurus mostly in India and not from other cultures of the world? There are elaborate systems in Japan, like Zen, Shingon, etc. These Japanese systems were decried by this rascally group of Lilliputians. Japanese was presented as very aggressive society, with swords, spears, banners, etc. Though Japan has good systems, not much Western people explored them. Now, the Lilliputians are trying to bring it back. Many countries have good cultures, but these Lilliputians were okay with the economically non-threatening Mahatma Gandhi. In India, you find an intact culture and knowledge system that was useful to the Western hippie communities. These communities didn't like the fact that the Western education system always took them to war. World War I, World War II, Vietnam War, etc. So the Western population moved to India to educate itself, to learn a philosophical system of peace and harmony with Gandhi as its backdrop. The writings and teachings of Henry David Thoreau, Ralph Waldo Emerson, Nathaniel Hawthorne made the backdrop of philosophical importance in the mind of young Americans. This alternative information system was very loved by these young Americans who, from the time of Samuel Clemens, also known as Mark Twain, came to India to bask in this alternative way of thinking. From then onwards, there was a trickle of young American and Europeans coming to India to learn a harmonious culture and way of thinking which says, live and let live. This was almost an antithesis to the thinking of the Lilliputians of New York. This alternative way of thinking was the goal of the young Americans that led to the hippie cultures of the 60s. The hippies learned by being with the humble Hindus of India. For the hippies, learning is enrich, experience, and express. This was different from the intellectual garbage that was taught in schools as science and knowledge. The hippies loved the whole idea of Mahatma Gandhi. They took to themselves the Gandhian ideology of peace and human dignity. Hippies took Gandhi as an important role model. High thinking and inexpensive living highlight the Gandhian model that the hippies were following. The hippies detested the structured rigidity that came as militarization of the American population. Any structure is seen as an antithesis to living. This led the Lilliputians, in the pretext of micro and macroeconomics, to bring every American back to consumerism, which made Mark Knopfler sing the song Money for Nothing and Chicks for Free. To this effect is Roger Waters' song Another Brick in the Wall, where he sings, "We don't need no education, we don't need no self-control." He is fighting against the militarizing and intellectualizing that comes with the Lilliputian way of thinking. We don't need no education, meaning every child is able to create through their own faculty of intelligence. We don't need no self-control, saying, I don't want to sacrifice my body for the Lilliputian club. That's what the hippies were saying. They were anti-establishment and had the slogan, make love and not war.